Hey, Alicia, what do you think is easier, selling to someone you know absolutely nothing about and have to randomly guess about their problems and what interests them, or selling to someone whose problems you understand?
This sounds a bit like a leading question. Of course, it's easier to sell when you know what people actually need.
So, what if I told you that today we're going to show people how they can learn more about their audience with a simple landing page, subscriber tagging in AWeber, and ChatGPT or Claude, all in just a few minutes?
I'd say that makes a lot of sense, Chris, because this is the Shift AI show presented by AWeber. If you can imagine it, you can build it with AWeber.
Nice. I was so worried when we were setting things up that previous stinger screen wouldn't automatically transition. So I was waiting here with my finger hovering over the transition button.
Well, it works. So we're off to a good start without Jesse here today.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like we've done what, like 24 of these, more than that. And I still, every time I get on, I'm like, shoot, I don't remember how to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So funny.
So we're doing a really cool demo today that, as of last week, we hadn't planned. And the story behind why we're demoing what we're demoing today is kind of fun. So Alicia and I work at AWeber together. So does Jesse. And this past week, we're getting ready to publicly launch our landing page builder. I know a lot of our viewers have already had the chance to play around with it. Thank you so much for using it. Thanks for your feedback. But one of the things that we did as a pre-launch exercise is a member of our team, Sean, he sent out an email to our current customers, basically inviting them to join a wait list for early beta access. And as part of that, he had them take a survey, and I'll get to how he hooked all this up at the end, when they signed up for the wait list. And then he used Claude, in his case, to analyze their results. And the way that he did the analysis in Claude and it presented the data was just so clever and so smart that when Alicia and I saw it, we had to figure out how he did it. And he shared that he built a landing page in AWeber that used AWeber subscriber tagging to save people's answers. And then he just uses the AWeber MCP inside of Claude, or you could use ChatGPT. I'll show you how to use ChatGPT today to analyze the results because they're all saved as tags. So smart.
Yeah, really cool.
Let's just jump right in. I'm going to do the initial demo, and then Alicia, as always, has a much smarter version of it that she'll focus on afterwards.
We'll call it different.
So I am in the AWeber page builder. You could use another page builder like Lovable or Replit if you wanted to. I'm just so hooked on this page builder. It does such a good job of just integrating everything. Mm-hmm. And the use case that I'm trying to replicate is similar to what Sean did for us. It's an onboarding survey or a waitlist survey that asks a few simple questions, and then people join the waitlist.
And to clarify, you're not using a survey tool or anything to build the survey, right?
No, that's a great question. This is all just as a landing page. And the responses, the answers from people are saved, quote unquote. Well, they are saved on their subscriber record in AWeber as tags. And the cool thing about that is I can make segments and send emails just to people who gave specific answers. I could trigger workflows you're going to be demoing shortly. You can do all sorts of cool stuff with that.
Cool.
But this is the prompt that I started with, that I gave to the builder. And if you want these prompts for yourself, they are all right here. I'm dropping it into chat. This is a link to our mega prompt library where we save all of our prompts. So if you want to recreate what we're doing, you can just follow right along. And I tell it that I want to create a simple survey using an AWeber form where people's answers are applied as tags to their subscriber when they sign up. And then I also want a tag applied to everybody who completes the survey so I can easily create a segment of people who finish the survey. And then I give it the questions in my survey, just paste it in. And I say like what type of question it is, what the question is, and what the answers are. And the last thing I added is make sure all of the tags applied are prepended by the question number. So you'll see in my actual tags, the answers come in as like Q1, Q2, Q3. So I can easily report on them in the future. And that was my whole thing. And that led to this survey, which is awesome. And just to show you it in practice, it's right here. This is it live as a hosted page that I can send to anyone. I can fill this in, say my business does have a website, but I also have a need for creating landing pages. And I sell, let's say I sell products. And then, oops, my first name is Chris, and I'll just put it in an email. 21, 2026, boom. And in my case, I'm just redirecting it to the standard success page. You could have it submit on page, you could have it redirect to another page, but now I have completed that survey. That's awesome, right? I'm getting all this information. It's also building me a list of people who are segmented with this information. But the really cool power from this comes into play when I actually want to analyze. I'm going to be showing you this in ChatGPT, but you could do the same thing in Claude or in any other tool where you can use the AWeber MCP. Because again, remember, all of these people who signed up are on my email list as subscribers now, and their answers are saved on them as tags. So now if I want to understand who signed up and what they answered, I can just ask AWeber using the MCP. And Alicia, if you wouldn't mind grabbing a link to our docs on the MCP and dropping it into the chat, and also a link to our ChatGPT AWeber app, AWeber plugin, that would be awesome. But I'll walk you through what I do now. So the first thing that I did is in this prompt chat, or the mega prompt pack, there's another prompt I added to get a recap of your tags. So this is something I asked the landing page builder. I said, give me a review of all the tags applied to this survey. And then it gave me a response. And then I'm going to pass that into my next one, where I say, when people sign up for my list, you can actually see this in ChatGPT, in AWeber, and I tell it what list name, they have the ability to fill in a survey and their landing page about their landing page usage. If they do, they're tagged survey complete. Visualize the survey responses by looking at the tags applied to people based on their answers. And then I just pasted in that summary of tags that were applied. That's all I asked. It's just for the visualization of it.
This is like so much easier than interacting like with the UI and trying to like figure out the number of tags on somebody. It's just like eye-opening. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
Just ask a question.
Different experience. Yeah. It's so good. So then what it came back with is it went and it looked for my list. It found the right list in AWeber. And then it gave me a bunch of visualizations. First, a table just describing for each question how many people and what percentage of people gave each of the responses. This is really helpful. It's kind of like vanilla, like it just looks like a data table. It gives me some visualizations. So 84% of people who had answered don't have a website. 92% of them want a landing page. And most of these people sell services. So that's cool. I didn't ask for specific charts. It just gave me them. And then it goes into detail around what it views as like the strongest audience segment. They do not have a website, but they do want or need a landing page, and they primarily sell services. That is incredibly useful from a couple seconds worth of asking and waiting for a response. But I wanted to take that further. And so I asked, what would you suggest I do with these answers? And this is where the real benefit of having this information in a LLM tool like ChatGPT or Claude is really useful, because then you can just converse and go back and forth brainstorming and figuring out, like, not only what is the information you have, because data is useful, but what do you do with it?
Right.
Recommendations is where we want to get to. Um, and it gives me a bunch of recommendations, like tightening my positioning on the landing page builder, who I should focus, make the primary demo a service business. And then it gives me some examples of service businesses that I might want to focus in on. It tells me how I can use the existing tags to message to people directly, and a bunch of other things. Now, oh, this was the last one. Create templates around the dominant use case. This is really smart for a landing page builder, which is what
Mhm.
this survey was about. And it's giving me a bunch of ideas around this service provider persona for pages that I could put together. It's really cool. One last thing is, then I was like, because this is nice, this big wall of text, these charts, like, that's fine, and it's neat if you can easily interpret that. But I'm a kind of like a visual person, and I like things to look a certain way. So I just asked it, create an artifact, and that should say that visualizes the data and recommendations in a clean and easy to understand way. The first thing that it did is it made an infographic, an image of the survey snapshot and some of the stuff, some of the takeaways. And that was really cool. But I wanted it to be something that was easier for me to update and interact with in the future. So I said, make an HTML artifact and update the data with the most recent responses from AWeber. So then it just went back, it found some additional, I think 7 additional responses. So now I have a total of 18 responses, and it created this report for me, which now if I ever want to update it, if I get more responses, I can just tell it to update it. It'll go get the additional data and it'll update this report for me. But I have this really visually appealing, easy to understand, in my opinion, report.
Yeah.
Where
That's really
it,
cool.
yeah, it's so cool. This is, I use chat for this all the time.
It has me like thinking about how you could even position your survey results as something you send to your subscribers too. Like you turn the results into something to share the knowledge with your audience as well. Oh, you do have a save and print button. Look at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, makes it like really easy to understand. And, like you said, it gives you like not only just like what's happening, but what to do with that information, how to take that information and actually change something.
That is such a smart idea, though, Alicia, is like, I didn't ask it to add the save or
Yeah,
print button, but it just added it. So there's no reason why I shouldn't just send this to my subscribers and be like, hey, this is cool. It's all anonymized data. Like, it doesn't include any personally identifiable information. You would want to make sure that you don't include any of that.
of course.
But it's like, again, without any real extra effort from me, I have
Mhm.
that artifact I could share with people. That's a great idea.
You almost like
Um,
created a lead magnet for yourself.
yes. Yeah. That's a
Get
great
this
point.
data report.
Yeah. But the thing that was a huge takeaway for me is, like, this did the work of interpreting what the survey data meant for me in my case. And in my case, this is example data that I just filled out. But we saw something very similar with our own survey that our team member Sean actually ran. This is modeled after what he did. And what you end up with is not just, here are your survey results, good luck. It's giving me a really important recommendation here. So assuming that this data were actually accurate and my actual prospects filled it out, it's telling me service businesses without a website remain the clearest first target.
Yeah.
So that gives me a clear marching order of, like, where do I go? Who should I be looking for? And what problem am I trying to solve for them?
Mm-hmm. Helps you write directly to that, to that audience.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I could just, like, fall into this and get super
Mm-hmm.
absorbed in it. But how would you take this even further than just something that I have to manually do something with?
Right. I've got an idea. So let me get my screen here on the board. So I wanted to share my Claude chat, but I guess I did it in Cowork, so I can't open that up in the web browser right now. But we were talking about, using surveys and quizzes, for email capture to learn about your audience. So I was trying to think, I do have a Zumba side hustle, I like to call it, on the side. So I'm always using that as like my way to spin ideas and ways I can, get my audience engaged. So I was like, how would a quiz or a survey work for something like Zumba? So I started off in Claude and like asked that question. I was like, I want to create a survey or a quiz. Not sure what topic is, but I want it to be fun. And I was like, give me 10 topics. And I just went through and I started, I was like, oh, I like this one. Went through that, and I was like, all right, let's list out the questions. And then I took those questions, plopped it into the AWeber landing page builder, and created this landing page. So my initial intent around this one is like lead capture. So it'll be something that'll be fun for my audience to interact with, give them a fun way to join my list, but then give me a way to communicate with them a little more customized or more personal. So let me show you what I've got here. So I'm going to share this instead. Oh, let me start it over. So what kind of Zumba student are you? So this, I'm sure you might have seen quizzes like this on Facebook, like, what character are you or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Same idea or concept there. So it's asking me a couple questions like, it's class time, where do you head? And you can go ahead and answer these questions. Well, of course, I'm going to, I love the mirrors.
So in this case, Alicia, you're less interested, not disinterested, but you're less interested in the individual answers and more interested in the like profile of the person at the end.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly. So it's like the result. So what it's actually doing, I believe, with these 6 questions, there's certain personalities on A, B, C, and D. So it'll be like you chose A the most times, so you're this personality.
Got it.
So here I am a firecracker. Despite how many times I've done this survey, I keep getting firecracker. But that's to be expected. So now what's going to happen is I actually have a different tag that's being applied based on the results of the survey. So it isn't each answer isn't being added to my subscriber. It's just the result. So if I subscribe here, let me do quiz. Remember.
That is so smart. Oh, I think that was your first time.
Yeah.
I do that every time. Yeah.
So I don't read. But here, I'm also doing is I'm actually delivering here a free coupon to join my class for free. So now they can copy that code. I don't actually have the link to the class here, which would probably be
a good idea.
Should add that in there. But they do get that free coupon code. But with that said, there is another chance for them to get that because I use that tag to actually trigger a workflow in AWeber. Cool. So I'm going to go over to my automations real quick in workflows. And right here, I have 4 different workflows that I created. And you can see they have the firecracker, the vibe keeper, the social butterfly, and the stress shaker. So these are all workflows that are triggered by the tags being added. So I'm going to just toggle through them real quick. You can see there's a different tag triggering this one, social butterfly, stress shaker. And each of these has a customized message. So it's delivering the result. This one does actually have a link to the to the class. So I saved myself there. But the messages are all actually pretty similar, just a little bit different depending on who they are. So each of them has like a tip for them based on their personality type. The CTA is a little bit different.
That's so cool.
Let me go back and I'll click to a different one. So like in here, the CTA is like, let's go instead. So like, they're all like, trying to match the energy of that person. And like something Jesse and I always talk about is like email marketing is a relationship, right? You're trying to build connections with your audience. And if you know a little bit about them, their personality using your product. You can customize your content that you share with them. And the cool thing is I'm giving them all the same free 25-minute class. I'm just positioning it a little bit differently based on like their energy.
I love that. And I mean, so the coolest thing about this, there's a lot cool about this, but the coolest thing about this is what you brought up like right at the beginning of this demo is you did this all without a dedicated survey tool.
Right.
And that's the thing that I'm really kind of just loving about this vibe building ecosystem is you're using the tools that you have available, AWeber Builder or Lovable if you wanted to or whatever, and then tags inside of your email marketing platform, in our case, AWeber, to replicate the important part of the survey tool that you needed. Because like, I don't know if you feel this way, but oftentimes like if I need to use a survey tool for something like this, I end up paying for it because it needs some obscure feature that where I don't need 90% of the other paid features, but I need this one thing. So I end up paying $20 or $30 a month for this one thing. And here I could replace that. I don't need it for that one thing anymore. It just is like such a fun and interesting time to be building digital products and experiences because we can be so much more creative than we could in the past.
And the cool thing is too, you can use the tools that you have like Claude at hand to help you come up with the idea. So we've sprinkled this idea to you, right? Like use a survey. Just like I did yesterday when I was kind of prepping for this. I'm like, I need to create a survey. Like, what is it going to be about? That was my first question. Like, it wasn't like a 3-paragraph prompt that was like, I need my survey to be XYZ. It was like, I need a survey. Help me out. And it was able to come into these results, help me draft the messages, like it kind of helped me do all of it. And I just had to put it behind this really awesome landing page that I can now share with somebody. So it's like one of those things, like it seems like a hard thing, but it's really not. It's just a question that you start off with.
Yes. Yeah. And this is actually, we got 2 really good questions, one from Erica and one from, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the other person, but the first question was, can you add a photo for each question? And the answer to both these is yes, but we'll dig into them a little bit. And then Eric is could you ask a question and then after each question display some data or a tip to keep them engaged and going? And then we also just got one, could you embed a video in the survey? And the answer to those are all yes. That's another beautiful thing about this is conversationally, you can just ask for it. And this is the big mindset shift when working with these tools. Like you can just ask for what you want. And the skill to develop here is not, this is so weird for somebody who's been in technology for 2+ decades. The skill isn't coding anymore. And it's less a like logical brain skill than it was in the past. And it's much more a creativity and communication skill. So if you want to add data between your steps, you need to think about how you would tell the model, the agent, the builder, the information that you want to add, where to add it, and when to display it. But if you can write that, if you can communicate it clearly and concisely, you can do basically whatever you want. You could add videos, you could add images, you can have it generate images. That's one of my favorite things about the AWeber builder is having it generate or edit images that I already have. You can have it have these interstitial steps where you give an answer, it gives you some feedback, like a tip. You give another answer, it gives you a data point. Like Erica, that's a great idea and something that I'm sure would be really engaging, especially if your quiz is part of an educational program for people.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like onboarding strategy as well, like giving that data tip as you go. It triggered this one app that I was using the other day with my daughter. We have this app trying to teach her how to read. And when I was first like setting her up, it was like, how old is your daughter? And then it would give me a stat about her age, like, X number of, kids this age don't know how to read yet. And it was kind of like
Hmm.
reassuring me, like, as I went, that like I wasn't
Oh,
alone. But that was, yeah, it was kind of a reminder of that. Like as it went, it was giving me tips to like kind of keep me moving down that path. And this is a little different, but just sharing, I went through the survey again to get a different result. But the tips on this last page are all different based on the personality that you were given. So that's one way you can utilize it as well. So mine was just on the end screen, but no reason why you couldn't do it as you go.
yeah. I love it. Your implementation is so cool, Alicia. This is really neat. Okay, this is awesome. We're trying to keep our demos concise, under 30 minutes. And we didn't have a mailbag question, but I have a mailbag question from myself for you. Um, so I have been seeing more and more of these AI flyers and clearly AI logos, and I am generally speaking an AI optimist, but I hate them. I hate them because they all have this same look that, in my opinion, my problem is not necessarily that it's obviously AI. It's that I feel like they do a very bad job of two things. One is communicating the value of the thing they're trying to communicate, like the details of an event or the why a store or a restaurant is so cool. And then the other thing is, I think they do a very bad job of presenting people's brands as something unique and human.
Right.
But all that being said, ignoring my frustration with those things, you're a designer. How do you actually use AI tools in your design process? What are they actually useful for in creating better results?
A couple ways. I mean, I use design almost for everything nowadays. Um, but I have like files that I've trained to do certain things or to like
Hmm.
review, especially copywriting. That's one thing that I do a lot for like interface copy to make sure it's not overly like technical and things like that. Um, Writing up documents that kind of describe the personality of how you're writing. But when design comes, we do have internally, we have design skills that help our apps train so that they're not doing the defaults. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it's like you said, it's like a sore thumb. You find it, you're like, oh, AI did that. It's like this very overly visualized view of something. It's almost always got too much
Yeah.
information on it. Um, but yeah, I one thing I do is I never land on the initial result. So like something
Mm.
that is returned to me from an AI bot is almost never the version I go with. And I think, it comes down to how you communicate with it and how you ask for what you're looking for. And I think that's very prominent in revisions as well. So, like when I use an AI tool to, like Claude Design, I'll use it to whip up a prototype real quick to see if this concept makes sense or if I need to change it. And, it comes back and I'm like, not what I was looking for. Let's change it. But it's like working on my communication with the AI is definitely something that helps me as a designer, like communicate what I'm looking for. Um, and then training it on certain things that you start to see happening often. So if I see a certain result coming back, I'm like, remember this, like, don't do this anymore.
Yeah,
And kind of just
that's so
using that
smart.
communication.
Like this idea of having a centralized document that details your taste, because like we've talked about this in the past, that
Yeah.
like our unique moat against AI as creative people is our taste and our opinion and the ability to experience the world. And the fact that you have like a living document or a living context where you continuously tell it what good looks like and what bad looks like is so smart, and something we should all be doing if we're attempting to use AI to help us design.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like one of those things too. Like you don't know how much you need to define until you start to see those pain
Hmm.
points. You're like, oh, I just always see this one thing that I don't like.
Yeah.
Um, so you instruct it not to do that anymore. So
Yeah.
iteration.
That's awesome. I mean, I use it for something very specific in my own workflow, and that is like I do a lot of illustration and a lot of like character illustration. And something that's been so helpful for me is I'll do some initial character sketches and then I'll ask it, hey, take this character and give me mock-ups of it in the following positions or the following situations,
Oh, cool.
just so I can see like how it could potentially move in different directions or position itself differently. And that's really helpful. I think I do the same thing that you were saying you do too. I don't think I've ever used the AI generated thing as the final thing. I do use it for inspiration, much like I
Yeah.
used Pinterest or Dribble in the past to find
Right.
inspiration for characters in different poses when I was like, how would this character that I've designed actually look in a similar pose?
Hmm.
It's really, really a wild time to be designing. Wild
Yeah.
time to be building, wild time to be designing. It's just
Every
nuts.
day it's something new. I'm always feeling behind too. It's like as much AI forward we can be, I'm always like, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Or something changes and my workflow has to adjust a little bit, but it's kind of fun, like being a
Yeah.
part of the changes.
Yeah, and
Um,
I will say, like, the thing that has helped me progress so fast relative to some of the other designers and builders that I'm around is the fact that, like, the people around me, you, Jesse, Sean, the engineers that we work with are really curious about this stuff, and
mhm,
you're constantly trying things. But the part that really makes it magic is you're constantly sharing the stuff that has worked, the stuff that didn't work, little tricks that you figure out, and that has allowed me to progress so much faster. And hopefully that's one of the benefits of the shift itself, is
mhm.
that all of us together can share and progress faster.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, this is a prime example, experimentation and curiosity led to creating landing page quizzes, and
Yeah.
now it's an idea that we can share with everybody and, hopefully you can utilize and make something fun for your audience
Yes.
to
Yeah,
interact
and the
with.
thing that I love about that is it was neither of our ideas. It
Yeah.
was like Sean's
Thanks, Sean.
idea. He had an actual use case. That's where the best ideas come from. Is like he had an actual use case. He was just like, I wonder if I could do it this way. He tried it, it worked, and now we all benefit. It's so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, this was a great one, Alicia. Great demo. I loved your implementation of this, and like Alicia mentioned, it's really important that you do start to develop this central set of design and
Mhm.
context, or a copy and brand context for when you're building things. On Friday at noon Eastern, we're going to be walking you through one way to do that, a really simple way where a
Mhm.
Google Doc is your source of truth. But we'll be walking you through how we do that, and a really fun experiment that we did internally with our design team using that same principle.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And hopefully, we'll see you on Friday at noon Eastern. See you, folks.
Drew is really good at making other people look really good.
Stunning.
And with the help of AWeber's marketing platform, he's built an entire audience on his ability to turn heads. So even though Drew's just a team of one, it never really feels that way.
That's a wrap, folks. Come on out.
Drew uses AWeber. It's how teams of one get more done.
Oh, thanks, Tim. Have sweet. You're the best, Tim.
With AWeber, it's like he has a whole staff helping him grow his audience and build professional-looking content.
And send. You got it. Great job, team.
From automated email campaigns
Oh, of course, sign up. You got it from here.
to insight-packed reports.
How are we looking on new subscribers? Is that the day we launch the new course? Nice.
AWeber gives Drew the freedom to go forth
Hey.
and be Drew. AWeber,